ready to start our service, so as we usually do, we're going to start with some beautiful music by Laura and Cheryl. Join along with us, please. I found the divine in you. I feel your light, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the joy in you. I feel your bliss, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the love in you. I feel your heart, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. I bow to the truth in you. I feel your spark, see it shining through. I am grateful you are here today. Good morning, friend, namaste. Good morning, all, namaste. Beautiful, thank you. Take a moment and get to know each other. It's very simple. If you would like a handshake, you put your hand out. If you'd like a hug, open your arms. Take a few moments to get to know each other.
Hug. Yeah. Are you hugging? What? Yeah, I gotta get up. I said hi, I just didn't hug. Getting you out of this vicinity is a little tight now. It's a
And so as we begin our service this morning, we're going to enter into a little bit of contemplative time with a beautiful song and an invocation by our practitioner, Chris McCardle.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. Surely the presence of love is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. presence of love is in this place.
As we get centered, opening for service today, I recognize that divine oneness, the power, the presence of that beautiful essence of love that is in this very room, in this very place. I know this to be true. I know that I feel this love. I feel it vibrating throughout this space. And that each one of us are a part of that very essence. And as I know this to be true, I know we move into service and that these ideas, these empowering ideas that will just open us to new way of life, to new ways of thinking, to new ways of being, as we represent that beautiful love, that divine presence of God. So I simply move forward in peace as I recognize these truths in gratitude. Gratitude for each one here, for all that goes on behind the scenes, for the wisdom and the knowledge that moves out into our community. I'm so grateful. And I simply just let this be and let service unfold as it is. And together we say,
And so it is.
We're going to sing that song through again. And the first verse lyric is right there on the board. And then we just swap out the word God with the word joy, and then the word love.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of joy is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of love is in this place.
She's a good helper. Okay, Ernest Holmes, in the Science Online magazine in 1944, okay, so this was a long time ago. Think about that context when I read this. He told the graduates of the first class, this was his charge, be all-inclusive in your spiritual embrace of humanity. Do this with deep sincerity, in reverence, and with a complete abandonment of the personal self to that spirit which has revealed itself throughout the ages. Love all and criticize none. Refuse to bury spiritual sympathy and divine understanding in the grave clothes of intolerance and bigotry. Thus shall your all-inclusive attitude pass through the flame of love into the union with good. And surely that is our superpower, right? It's love. So this song is a reminder to empower, inspire, and see the beauty in each other.
I wonder if I was as brave as you are. shadows and search for the truth. I know you never would have ever just walked by the midnight blue ocean on a big sunset sky. Can you tell, do you feel it? When you dream, are you healing? Letting go the better than loving from the great I am. Keep on believing. Can you tell, do you feel it? When you dream, are you healing? Letting go the better than loving from the great I am. Keep on believing. We are so blessed to have such amazing talent here with us, aren't we?
Yes.
All right. So this year, our theme for Centers for Spiritual Living is Spirituality in Action. And it's based on the 10 prophetic justice principles. And so this month, we are working with principle number 5, which is protect the vulnerable. And for us, that shows up in the action of empowerment. And so all of this month, we're going to be speaking about how we empower ourselves and how we empower others to live that full life as well. So I thought I'm going to look up what this means and just get a real good idea, because I have this idea for empowerment. Funny thing was, I was looking up stuff from Ernest Holmes. He never once used the word empowerment. And when I was looking it up, I found out that it wasn't actually ever used until 1986.
Wow.
Which is why Ernest Holmes never used it. So this is what Merriam-Webster says about empowerment. It's to make someone stronger, more confident, especially in controlling their life and claiming their rights. Well, that's really pretty much the essence of what we do here at Centers for Spiritual Living. We're all about learning how to change how we think in order to change our lives. And so for us, empowerment is a very, very strong spiritual practice that we work with. So empowerment has 3 main components to it. As I was reading our book of the month, which talks a lot about empowering the world and ourselves, New Republic for the Heart by Terry Patton, he says that there are 3 main components to creating and empowering ourselves and empowering others. And the first component is humility. The second one is honest curiosity. And the third component is trust. I found these kind of unusual components for empowerment. I would have thought of it in something like, let's make things happen, let's get things going in our lives. Starting off with humility, though. So one of our basic principles here is that we believe there's one power, one presence, one divine creator of all, and that each one of us is a unique, individualized expression of that one. And so sometimes that leads us to say that, okay, if God is that creative power, and you can call it whatever you want, I like the word God myself. God is that creative power, and I was created in the image and likeness of God, and God created me to be perfect, whole, and complete. Sometimes it's easy for me to say something like, well, then I'm God. Because everything that God is, everything that I am, is God. And God created me perfect, whole, and complete. Those are fundamental beliefs that we have here at Centers for Spiritual Living. And so if I believe that, if I truly get that idea, then it's kind of an easy transition to that idea. Well, then, if everything that I am is God, therefore I am God. But that can seem like a very egotistical kind of thing to say. Yes, I am the unique expression of God right here on earth. We call that the microcosm. God, being the big creative power, the everything, the all, is the macrocosm, the wholeness of it. And I am an individualized expression of that. So I am God in microcosm. If I can really begin to understand that,
and really look at that idea that there is not a thing within me that isn't that divine presence of God. That I was created in the image and likeness of God. Not like most of us have done in our experience, which is to create God in our image and likeness. We then begin to live a life that's a little bit more empowered. If I can understand that I am perfect, whole, and complete, that every single thing in my body is an expression of God, then how can I despise those parts of my body that seem like something I don't really want to experience? How can I despise the actions that I take that are leading me to experiences I don't want to have? If I understand that I am totally that perfect expression of God and I am on this spiritual path of unfoldment continuously, then it actually becomes a very humble experience. To understand that there is this magnificence out there, and that in its divine creative wisdom, it brought forth me just as I am. Perfect, just as I am. God doesn't make mistakes. God did not create me to be a mistake here in the world. And that is a very humbling experience for me. This morning I was listening to the Harvard Divinity School commencement address, which was given by Cornel West, who's a philosopher, modern-day philosopher. And he writes this, he spoke it actually, I wrote it. Humility is a function of our spiritual maturity. To be spiritually mature is to acknowledge your own limitations, your own inadequacies, your own very limited perspectives that can provide much insight. Essential humility ought to go hand in hand with a spiritual tenacity of knowing how to fight for those things that we believe in, but also acknowledging that, lo and behold, I've still got much to learn. Mm-hmm. Having this idea of this power and this presence can be a very liberating thing. In my experience, it has. To truly understand that, okay, I've got what I would call flaws. I have things in my life that I don't really want to be experiencing. But when I got to that point of understanding that everything, every single thing I've experienced is for the unfoldment of my soul, then things shifted around a lot for me. And if I can really begin to grasp that, it makes it much easier for me to allow other people to have that same experience. If I can be humble within myself about what I consider the magnificence of the divine represented within me, then I can easily look at other people in their flaws, in their problems, in their lack and limitation, in their ideas of otherness, and I can see that presence of God within them. You know, we sang it this morning when we started off. Namaste. Good morning, friend, namaste. Namaste is a Sanskrit word that basically means the presence of the divine within me sees and honors the presence of divine within you, and I bow to it. I bow to it in humility. Namaste is not a word, it's a practice. It is an absolute spiritual practice of seeing that divine presence within other people and acknowledging them, no matter what condition they show up in front of us. That whatever they're experiencing right now is for the unfoldment of their soul. It allows us to get to that place where we can be a beneficial presence to other people. So we look at the second component, honest curiosity. Honest curiosity starts within myself. Like everything we do here, it always starts within. It's an inside job. So honest curiosity, first off, I have to begin to look at those things that have caused me problems in my life. I have to begin to look at those patterns that I repeat over and over again. I think I might have healed it, and there it shows up again. We call that, you have to peel the onion. You got to get through layers and layers of it to get to that, to the core of it, to what that problem is. When I start to look at those things I'm like, oh, there it is again, showing up in my life again. If I can begin to understand what the root of that pattern is, why I'm exhibiting that behavior, then I can begin to clear that away from me, from my experience. I won't have to experience it quite so much. I don't have to engage in that anymore. You know, I love the quote that's attributed to Einstein, which is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. First thing I have to do is recognize that I'm doing it over and over again. And then I can begin to shift it. I can begin to change that and not have that experience in my life again and again and again. The other thing I have to be honestly curious about is the grudges that I hold against people or situations. Why am I holding on to that? Why am I so attached to that? Why did I think it should have been an outcome that it wasn't? And I begin to look at that and experience, and why I'm experiencing turmoil over that kind of situation. I look at those kind of grudges and things that are operating in my life that have caused me difficulties. The other thing I have to look at is my triggers. Those things that get pushed by other people. I love that quote. They may have pushed my button, but they didn't install it. I have to look at why I installed that button. Because I'm the one that did it. I'm the one that put that into my life and allowed that to be pressed by other people. In his book, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer talks about having a wound on your arm. And instead of dealing with the wound, you start to build contraptions to protect your wound. So you build this brace around your arm. And when that, then if your hand gets bumped, so you build a bigger brace around your arm. And then you build even a bigger brace around, until you're encased in something altogether, simply because you didn't want to deal with the problem that was there in the first place. We have to begin to look at that and figure out why we're doing that. The other thing that we have to begin to look at is why I'm so easily offended by things. Why I get so easily offended. Offense for me shows up in a really bizarre way. I've spoken about this before. Offense to me shows up as shame. When I get triggered by something, I feel like I've been offended. It's like, oh, what did I do wrong? Obviously, if something has offended me, there's something wrong with me that's caused that to happen. And so then I go into this, as Brene Brown calls it, the shame shitstorm. I love that phrase because I know what exactly it is. I mean, I know that perfectly. So beginning to look very curious about what is happening within me, why I'm experiencing the things I'm experiencing, and what I need to do to shift those behaviors. Because I absolutely cannot see that goodness in somebody else if I haven't cleared it out of myself yet. You know, we have this idea in Science of Mind that we attract what we reflect. You know, that whole mirror thing, you know, you can change. The only way to change what you see in the mirror is by changing what's here. And so if I've got somebody in front of me with some kind of situation that I'm having a reaction to, I know it's because there's something unhealed within me. And I have to begin to look at that. Because I cannot empower anybody else, or even myself, as long as this stuff is still operating in my life. And so the last thing is trust. And so the first part of that is we have to begin to trust ourselves. I am a work in progress. I know that. And I know that for myself, therefore I can know it for other people. That each one of us is on a spiritual path of unfoldment, and it's going to take whatever time it takes. Ernest Holmes says that we are on a spiraling evolution, always upward in our unfoldment. But we have these problems. So if we're in a spiral that goes around, right, like this, so my problem's right here, okay? So I come around, oh, there's the problem. And then I come around them a little bit higher, oh, there's the problem again. And then a little higher, and then, but eventually I get to where I can see down on the problem and have a clearer view of it. And eventually then, up at the top of the spiral, I'm no longer experiencing that. I had some good quotes in here, and I forgot to do that. Let me finish talking about trust. I do have a quote on trust. Anyway, so the other thing we have to begin to trust is the process. This is a process. We are going through it at whatever pace our souls need for that experience. And so sometimes we're going to experience it again. Sometimes it's going to be that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe this time it'll be different. We have to begin to hold that same amount of trust for other people too. If we can get to that point where we are not only gentle with ourselves, but we're gentle with other people. We're not quite so judgmental, we're not quite so hard on other people. But again, that's a work in progress. This morning I was on Facebook and my cousin posted a little thing. It said, I don't know what I did to get such sucky karma. Yeah, there was a little tiny part of me that really wanted to write back and tell her. At which point I had to change my bracelet because I was being judgmental. I was on day 13 and I had to go back to 13. So, for those of you who don't know, we are doing a no complaining, no judging, no criticizing commitment here for 21 days. And so, back on day 1 today. Although I didn't say it out loud, I'm committed to the thoughts also. If I have those judgmental thoughts, this is just one step from saying it out loud. Okay, so let's go through our. This is one of the best quotes Ernest Holmes has. It's right at the beginning of the Science of Mind textbook. To suppose the creative intelligence of the universe would create people in bondage and leave them bound would be to dishonor the creative power that we call God. God did not create us to be in bondage. God created us to be free expressions. God is not going to leave us there. But we have some responsibility in that too. We have this saying in Science of Mind here that we have to treat and move our feet. Treatment is our form of prayer. And so we have to pray, but we also have to take some action on what's revealed to us when we pray, because things are going to be revealed. This is from the book of the month here. To see the divine in another person is to catalyze their own recognition and discovery of their own divinity. Just by simply seeing it and acknowledging it. And saying, okay, I see you. And I can see what's happening in your life right now. And I know that you're in a process of evolution. So to do that and to honor that and to recognize it, it gives people a chance to change their lives, change how they think about the conditions and so forth in their lives. For you to see my divine humanity and thus bring it forth in me. And for me then to also equally be doing that in relation to you is blissful. When our shared divinity is present as a tacit understanding and an affable third presence, the we comes forward, even more sacred and trustable. This is heaven on earth, and all souls thirst for this communion. This is what's meant in the Bible when they say when 2 or more are gathered. When 2 or more are gathered, a third comes up. And it is the collective we. And there is a power in the we that isn't present in the I or the you, but is there in the we. Because we are seeing each other's shared humanity. We are recognizing that presence of the divine within each other. We are existing in true namaste at that moment. And there's something very powerful, very sacred, and very tangible that happens when we engage in this in community. That's why spiritual communities are so powerful here. Because we get to come together and we get to think about these ideas. We get to see how that we can change our lives. Now, the key thing for empowerment is not just understanding these ideas, but it's putting them into practice. And as I said with Namaste, it is a practice, not just a word that we use, not just a verb. It is an actual practice of recognizing the presence of the divine in everyone that we see. And this can be hard. It can be very challenging to be faced with someone who's disagreeable, someone who is contentious, someone like my cousin who just doesn't want to change. It can be very frustrating and very hard to deal with. But our practices should always be constantly going back to that. This too is God. This too is God. My dear friend Melissa Felipe has a song. It goes, there is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. you are my reflection. There is only one. A very powerful spiritual practice to be recognizing the presence of the divine in each person that we see. It's a very challenging spiritual practice to recognize the divine in everyone that we see. But it is the only way that we will ever begin to empower ourselves and to empower the world. You know, Centers for Spiritual Living is about creating a world that works for everyone and all of creation. I can't have a world that works for everyone if I'm seeing me and them. And anytime I feel like there's a me and a them, or an us and a them, operating in the world, I have spiritual work to do to see what is being triggered within me that's causing me to see separation. It's causing me to have this sense of duality, that there's something other or outside of God. Look at that and see what that can begin to shift in my life. I didn't put this quote up here, but it's authentic empowerment rests in the decision of each one of us to decide to commit to a life of practice, honesty, and curiosity. To commit to a life of practice, honesty, and curiosity. Being very true about who we are, what issues we have, and working towards healing those will actually begin to empower us. And once we begin to empower us, we can begin to empower other people. And this is what our true goal here is at Centers for Spiritual Living, is to get to that place where what we do then is a beneficial presence to the world. We are actually creating that world that works for everyone. All right, so let's take this into prayer. If you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. Just go within. So right here and right now, I know that there is only one. One power, one presence, one divine creative source of all. It goes by many names. It has many forms. But I simply know it as the presence of God. That one loving intelligence that has brought forth everything into existence. For in the beginning was God and nothing but God. And from its own essence, and through its own energy, God created. And it brought forth everything into expression in magnificent ways, fully abundant, beautiful, perfect, and whole. And because I know there's only one, I know that I am one with it. That the power and the presence of the Creator resides within me right here and right now. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for each person here within the sound of my voice, each person that has ever existed, and each person yet to be. For truly nothing exists outside of this one. We are all that unconditional love, that perfect peace, that creative intelligence. Our lives are those of harmony and balance and peace and ease. For this is the truth of our being. And so I speak my word knowing this truth. Knowing that there is this one power and presence operating through all life. And that it shows up as each one of us individually. In all of its perfection, in all of its glory. That each one of us is that unique representation of God. Brought forth to do the work of God. For that is how the divine Creator experiences itself in this plane of reality, is through each one of us individually. And I know that as we recognize that truth within ourselves, we can more easily see it in others. For that is the truth of all life. Everything that has ever existed, and everything that is yet to be, that perfect emanation of the one. And so I dedicate myself to seeing that presence in others. The face of God wherever I go. No matter what conditions are present, no matter what behaviors are being exhibited, I know that this too is God. And how grateful I am to know that, how grateful I am to experience it, how grateful I am to see it operating in the life of this community. And so I simply release this word, knowing that it is complete and perfect and done now. I let it be. And so it is.
So it is.
Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say you've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build, every room inside it's filled with things from far away. Special things I compiled, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care, so call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, you can be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but I wanna bring you along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see. We close our eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. A million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
Wow.
that time when we enter into the sharing of our tithes and offerings. So, as you prepare your offering, I invite you to give it a silent blessing. If you are interested, we do have a text to give number up here that's so easy to do. That's how I've been doing my tithe. It's been really cool. We also have an online link that's on our website that you can also give that way too. It goes to a secure server, so you can right into our account. It's really, really cool. Alright, so I invite you to repeat after me. This gift I give
This gift I give
goes forth from me.
goes forth from me.
Does amazing and miraculous things.
Does amazing and miraculous things.
And returns to me in kind.
And returns to me in
Pressed
kind.
down and overflow.
Pressed down and overflowing.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Join the girls in singing if you'd like.
Because the ground holds up my feet, because the stars shine down on me, for all of this and so much more, I am grateful. Because there's air for me to breathe, I give my thanks to every tree for all of this and so much more. I am grateful. Because I loved right from the start, the steady beat of my faithful heart. For all of this and so much more, I am grateful. Because I think, because I feel, because there's mysteries to reveal. For all of this and so much more, I am grateful.
You guys sound good. All right, so we have a few announcements. I didn't put up a slide for this, but our chairs, if there's anybody still interested in getting a chair, make sure you put your name on the sign-up sheet. They're supposed to be here hopefully this week. They're going to give me 24 hours notice when the new chairs are arriving. We have beautiful blue chairs. We haven't seen it somewhere around here.
Over there.
Oh, over there. There it is, just like those chairs right there.
That's not
Beautiful.
Chris's chair.
Pardon me?
That's not Chris's chair.
It's not, oh, it's now Chris's chair? Actually, I need to return that one to Vegas. So anyway, if you're interested in getting one of these chairs with arms on them, just there's a sign-up sheet on the paper in the back there. We have a new class starting in 2 weeks, 11 days, something along those lines. This is spiritual practices, treatment, and meditation. Treatment, again, is that affirmative prayer that we use. And of course, meditation is one of our primary spiritual practices. And so each week will be an overview of a different type of meditation technique, as well as learning how to treat for yourself and for other people. Fabulous class. I love teaching this one. See me if you have any questions about it. We are still collecting for Youth Futures. We have a box in the lobby. We're collecting food supplies that kids like to eat. They're teenagers. Youth Futures is a shelter for children 12 to 18 that were without parents. So fabulous nonprofit that we're supporting this month. Gwen asked me to remind you of her posture rolling class. If you're interested, Gwen, raise your hand. Oh, Gail, sorry. Gail, raise your hand. Got too many G's around here. So if you have any questions, see Gail about that. She'll explain all about it. It's really quite amusing to watch it. I haven't got to the place where I'm participating in it yet. But it's very good. It's a wonderful practice that she's got going. Our bookstore, we have music in, and we're now carrying the Science of Mind magazine for those of you that may be interested in purchasing a copy of that, and we are cheaper than Barnes & Noble, so buy it from us. After service, we have prayer with Chris McCardle over here in the prayer and meditation room. If you're interested in getting spiritual mind treatment for yourself, just a brief prayer for anything that you have going on in your life right now, anything that you'd like to keep going, or anything that you would rather wasn't going in your life. He'll be happy to sit with you and do a one-on-one prayer. And we have coffee and goodies available in the refreshment room back over here for you to stay for fellowship. All right, stand please. Join hands if you're comfortable doing that. Okay, repeat after me, please. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called love.
It is this thing called love.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my body.
Love is in my body.
Love is in all that I do.
Love is in all that I do.
I embrace it.
I embrace it.
I empower it.
I empower it.
And I share it.
And I share it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it
And
is.
just the way that it's becoming.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you, love.
Thank you, love. Woo! It's a new day, today it's a new life, my way. The doubts they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. The past is gone, it has no power here. I'm a mighty force in spirit's atmosphere. So I choose to grow, yes I choose to thrive. This longing will not be denied. It's a new day, today it's a new life, my way. The doubts they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. Right here, right now, I claim that I am whole. There is nothing else that I need to know. So I affirm my worth, yes, I'm deserving of God's goodness abounding in love. It's a new day, today it's a new life, my way. The doubts they are no match for me. I'll take my faith and fly because I know that I am creating my own destiny. As I believe it, so it will be. Woo!